Hi and welcome back to the Treehouse. My name's Ree and this is the Tarot Tree, and today I just wanted to get involved in the tag only 10 decks. You know, it's been so much fun watching everyone's picks, and I just thought, why not throw my hat in there? So yeah, first and foremost, I just want to give the flowers to the flower lady herself, Katey Flowers, for creating this tag within the Tarotube community. It's been, like I said, it's been really fun to see what everyone's kind of ride or die decks would be. And I've found some really great gems suggested. So hopefully, like, maybe today I could showcase a few of my favourites to you guys and see what you think. Okay, so I guess with that, I'm going to dive right in. I'm not going to do this in any particular order, as in like number one's going to be my ultimate ride or die. I'm just gonna like do them in any order, to be fair. I'm relatively new to the tarot world, so I don't have the biggest collection, but it still was a bit tricky to narrow it down, I must say. And I'm sure this will change in time as my collection grows, but for now, yeah, these would be my picks. So let's get straight to it. So first and foremost, as you can see, would have to be Chris Ann's The Lightseers Tarot. This may not come as any surprise. I saw it pop up in a lot of other people's top 10 also, and there's good reason for that. You know, this is honestly, let's move that to one side. Have a little flick through. Look at him, beautiful King of Pentacles. This is seriously like probably one of the first tarot decks I bought myself. Like, I saw it on I think it's Ali's tarot reading channel, and I just kept thinking, what is those cards that she's using? I absolutely love that imagery. It was the Fool card. I don't know where it is. Look at that Chariot. So beautiful. And it just really spoke to me. I love the diversity. I love the, you know, oh, look, that King of Wands, you know, right. Fiery leader. Look at his eyes, like they're bearing into your soul, like, I want you. I just found the imagery just really easy to read from, you know, really connected. We've got the Emperor here with his chess piece, you know, making plans, sitting on the Mars which rules him. So much symbolism. The colours are beautiful. Look at that Empress. Knight of Pentacles taking his time barefoot, you know. And it's just such an easy deck to read from, you know. Most people would throw a Rider-Waite in. I'm not going to have like an original Rider-Waite actually in my top 10 because I don't feel like I need it. I have enough clones that I like better, and also this, like, I have decks like this that I just find so easy to read. Look at the Five of Wands here, like with a conflict card. Everyone's reaching, you know, and it makes you think more of, you know, the conflict we have in nowadays, you know, in our societies, you know, trying to get to the top, you know, what are we willing to do to get there, sort of thing. It's so interesting. It always gives great reads. I actually love the cardstock. I don't know, some people don't, but I really like matte cardstock. I like that it's rounded. I like that there's Six of Wands and some of the choices of the scenes in to represent certain cards are just more up to date. They're more easy to understand. This victory here is like being on stage, being celebrated, rather than coming back from a battle, you know. I like that. The Lovers card, honestly, probably one of my favorite lovers cards of all time. Just because, not because, you know, the figures on this are so beautiful, it's just so tender, you know. She's holding his hair. There's just so much that can be like grasped from this card. So yeah, first and foremost we have the Lightseers. Okay, so next up we probably have one of my all-time favorite decks. I can never see myself getting rid of this deck because I love it that much, and this is the Blood Moon Tarot by Sam Gay or Guy. I can't quite I'm not quite sure how to pronounce the artist's name, but a wonderful artist, as you will see as we go through. So it comes in a really beautiful kind of like magnetic box here. This is quite hard to get your hands on, particularly in the UK, and I was really gutted. Like, I saw it and I was like, oh my god, it spoke to me straight away. Particularly, we'll get onto it, this Fool card is really what drew me in. But it wasn't being offered anywhere. it kind of had just disappeared, and then I subscribed to the artist's can have a little flip through while we're at it. I subscribed to the artist's newsletter, and they were releasing it in small batches, and I just thought I need to have it, and I, you know, you could tell I wanted it so much that I got it shipped from America, which is, you know, quite spenny but worthwhile. Look at this. I absolutely adore like how each kind of suit has its own color palette, almost like the dream and what has been used to denote swords, wands, etc. So swords is dreams because it's a lot to do with thoughts. And look at this, six of swords here, you know, just like being cradled, you know, needing to take that break and move on to something new. There's like different interpretations than your average Rider-Waite, and I really like that about it. There's so much to explore. You get so much to dive into. I saw this. I was so happy to see Shauna from Six of Wands mention this in her top 10 also. I was really happy to see it because I don't see it very much on Tarotube, in all honesty, and that might just be because it's so rare and it's hard to get a hold of. But look at this Queen of Swords, you know, how stoic she looks, you know, all these eyes observing things, but she holding the skull, she could kill you with her bluntness, you know. There's just so much to be gained from this, you know, all this imagery. It's your standard. I love how the songs, which represent cups, you know, have that emotional element captured in them, with the water still remaining present throughout. I love how honey, that represents pentacles, has lots of botanical and kind of like rich plant kind of life within it, and nature. I love the sort of ethereal of the swords and the dreams. Like, are they really real thoughts? Are they real? They're your nightmares kind of thing. I adore it. Some of the major arcana in this, like I said, are my favourite. If we go back to that Fool card, this is what drew me in. This like figure, this sort of almost like primal figure is here, like in the sort of abyss it's meant to be, and the doors of life are opening up to them. You have this figure on the door and all these different hand movements, like, you know, beckon you, come forward, like the Fool needs to take that risk. Then you got the hand like saying maybe hold yourself back a bit, because, you know, the Fool can make mistakes when he's too risky, when he takes too much of a risk. But all of this light coming through here, you know, showing that new beginning that you could be walking into. I love that about that card. So may the Magician, a musician, look at him, beautiful, alluring, creating, you know, still that kind of creation of alchemy seen in these cards. So much imagery to dive into here. You can get so much from it, so many different reads. Five of Songs, Five of Cups, you know, this figure's instrument is broken, you know, crying over the broken instrument, and, you know, you can always play a song somewhere else. You have those skills available to you. It's not the instrument that's making you able to play, you know. There's so much, like, if you are like a creative or musician or anything, you know, so much to glean from this. And the book, unfortunately, has not been released in a physical copy yet, but the PDF that comes along with this is so well thought out. It's honestly a joy. I would really love if the artist was to bring out a borderless version. At first I was thinking, oh, am I not going to like these borders? They're too busy. They do really go, but I just feel like the images are so beautiful. It would be nice not to have anything detract from them. The Hermit, again, one of my favourite cards. It's a very dark card. That's something that is a bit of a thing with this deck. Some of the cards are quite dark, but the story behind this, the Hermit, like a meteor, you know, just hurtling through space, like the way the Hermit does, like wanders through, you know, life and kind of observes, and like a meteor does, and then crashes down to earth, you know, and is ready to start anew. I loved that. Yeah, if you can get your hands on it, I definitely would. So much to dive into here. Yeah, enough to grasp the kind of basic kind of meanings of the cards also, so it's not too difficult. So yeah, this Emperor card as well, completely different energy from what you'd usually see. This is the more protective masculine kind of energy. Like, what does the Emperor do? A good Emperor wants to look after his people, build his kingdom, you know, and help it flourish.
you know, rather than just be so aggressive and tear everything down. I like that. It was very different. So yeah, that's what I really enjoy about this deck. There's variations in what you would usually like deem went through it all there. Deem the Rider-Waite-Smith basic meanings. I like that it's a mix of light and shadow. I think the dark cards in this, or the more, oh, I love this sun card, sorry. The colour palette really helped donate the emotions behind them. Like I said, the lighter cards really help you feel more blissful, more happy, more peaceful, you know, and then the cards that are meant to confront you, you know, they're quite hard hitting, and that's sort of shown within the kind of, look at this, the Nine of Swords here, like this nightmare creature just swallowing up this figure. They're scary, they're confronting, and I like that it has that mix of light and shadow really like strongly. It's like very emotive, and I really appreciate that. It's a wonderful deck. I absolutely adore it, and I'll leave it there before I babble on anymore. So yeah, that's the Blood Moon Tarot for any of you that are interested. Probably my favourite. Next up is honestly one of my treasures, being the absolute fangirl that I am, and I've just like bought this like lovely little embroidered tree bag to house it in, and that is the Lord of the Rings Tarot. Now this is a deck that can be found on Etsy. I am a huge Lord of the Rings fan. What can I say? I absolutely adore this deck. I feel like the artwork is so like, it's just beautifully done. I feel that there's been a lot of thought put into it in terms of the scenes picked out for each card. Like this, for example, we have the Four of Swords here. This is where Aragorn, if you're familiar with the films or the book even, is basically telling the army, you know, that he's kind of the Army of the Dead? What are they called? Oh my god, I've literally just revoked my fandom there by forgetting. Basically, he's saying you've fulfilled your pledge now and you can go and rest, you know. Four of Swords, rest. So strength, Frodo. It's such great picks. Like I forgot the artist's name, but I'm gonna give him his flowers. He really understood, you know, he understood the tarot, and he understood the Lord of the Rings as a story. How much strength does it take? This is the person who could be the ring bearer. That took so much strength. I love that about this deck. Three of Swords, the grief Gimli has to feel when he realizes all of his people have been murdered and he didn't even know, you know. If you're familiar with the story, this is what I love about tarot when it's married with kind of stories that we're familiar with, and I really wish there was more decks like this out there, because I feel it really helps, well for me anyway, having an understanding of these stories, these scenes, these characters. They really help me to understand the meaning of the cards more, especially when it's as well done as this one. Honestly, it's just breathtaking. I love it. And my kind of the most funniest lovers card I ever came across, Gimli and Legolas together. You know, you would have thought, oh, they could have paired any of the lovers within Lord of the Rings together, but no, they chose the bromance. And the bromance that goes against, you know, code, because I only really noticed recently that you have these dwarfs turning their back on one side and the elves on the other side, you know, and then these two have come together because, you know, the lovers card, as much as it can connote like that sort of, you know, fated kind of romance, you know, that to get to true love can sometimes be difficult. It's not always straightforward, you know. There's a lot of obstacles to overcome sometimes. That's what I feel like this card really can represent, like that kind of coming together, like, well, whatever, like we're meant to be together, like, you know, a card of your higher self. You have, you know, with Gimli as the dwarfs, like the very material, and then the elves, the very ethereal, and that sort of marrying. I sort of looked at this card because I do see the card of the lovers as looking to your higher self. Sometimes I see that in this card. I see strong friendship. I see soulmate energy in this card. I just really like that, and it's funny. It amused me first and foremost. So much beautiful imagery. The court cards may cause a few issues for me, even because I have to get back familiar with the book. There are characters here that are specifically just from the book, especially in terms of the kings and queens. Temperance, we've got Sam, look at him. How much does he keep himself together during the journey? He's such a balanced individual that helps Frodo get where he needs to go. Even though he hates Gollum being there, you know, he's a true one. So many great cards. Knight of Wands, you know, that hasty energy. The Moon, oh, just so many great scenes, you know, that just, oh, I love it. It just gets the Rider-Waite meanings down to a T, but there's still so much to dive into if you know the characters, if you know the story. It's so easy to read off the bat, but then there's more to dive into, and I love that. Like I said, I wish there was more decks like this, so if anyone knows of any, I know there's like the Game of Thrones one, I'll be interested to see what scenes have been picked for that, because I'm familiar with the story. And there's like The Little Prince is one I've got my eye on, because that's a book that I love, and I would like to see like how that is represented within the tarot, because the tarot is a story, is a journey, it's the Fool's journey, and I feel like anything that can help us understand that and bring it to something that we have a familiarity with within ourselves, whether it's stories or whatever, like, is good. This one makes me laugh. I just always hear Gandalf's voice saying, "You fool of a took." You know, Peregrine Took here beautifully and succinctly illustrates what the Fool is all about. You know, he takes risks and he doesn't always think about what he's doing. In fact, rarely does he ever, but that's part of his character development. In this scene, he's looked into this glass ball and almost potentially given, you know, the Fellowship's plans away. You know, that's the risk he took. It was a really stupid thing to do without thinking. But on the flip side of that, it worked out kind of well, because he didn't give anything away and he actually got a glimpse into the enemy's plan. So there's always that aspect of the Fool. I love that it represents both. But yeah, it's a wonderful deck. If you can get your hands on it and you are a Lord of the Rings fan, I would definitely recommend. These are the backs, by the way, if you want to have a look. Beautiful. It's not the thickest cardstock, it's a little bit kind of glossy, as you can see, but it shuffles well. You know, I don't think, let me put it this way, if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings, I don't think you will be disappointed. Look at that, 10 of Swords, the ring at the end, burning. Chariot, the Riders of Rohan. I love it. I've never seen anyone showcase this on YouTube yet either, so honestly, if I can bring this to anyone's attention who would really get good use out of it, then I am happy to do so. The devil, Sauron himself. So yeah, I shall leave it there. Death, Boromir. So many iconic scenes. You know, you don't even have to be familiar with the books. If you're familiar with the films, it will just, everything will ring true for you. So yeah, that is the Lord of the Rings tarot. So next up we have an Oracle deck, and this is the Atlas Oracle, another indie deck that's available on Etsy and is a British creator, Catherine Rose Spencer, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't not at the time. It was such a great price when I bought it as well, which was amazing for like an independent deck, but I digress. I really like, when I first got this deck, I actually found it quite difficult to work with. It just wasn't, I don't know, something wasn't clicking for me. It is meant to be used more as an intuitive oracle, but it has keywords that kind of help. And also I would say it's a sort of more of like a oracle, but with sort of some tarot leaning. There are definitely some cards in here that you can definitely see, like tarot, for example, this High Priestess, for sure, right? Wisdom, inner knowing, poise. So like that, you know, something to bear in mind if you're not a fan of things like that. But for me, I like that combination. It may even have some Lenormand kind of cards in this also. Okay, we're going to have a lot of them that I've flipped up. I just love the imagery within this. I just like, there's a lot of, there's light and shadow. I particularly like using it to just do an overall kind of a free card pull initially when I'm doing a deep dive of a deep dive and a read. I like to pull 3 of these for like the overall kind of energy of what's going on, like, you know, the kind of foundations of the story, what I'm looking into. I feel that really helps. It's got cards like wait, yes, no, to help with timing, etc. I think it even may have one that's got divine timing. Like I said, light and dark.
some very up-to-date things like coffee. Like, what's that about? You know, coming together with the three, like almost like a Three of Cups coffee date. You know, spending time with friends. Cards to do with the 4D, the 5D, the 3D. You know, even the colours in it, there's like lots of light colours, dark colours, you know, text messages, some of that contemporary. I just think it's so versatile. The cardstock's lovely, that's the back. You know, the words help. Obviously some of the cards also like have like little passages also that can really help trigger off, you know, your intuition. But the images in themselves are just very intuitive, and I like that. I need that in an oracle. I like something that, you know, can just get my intuition like going really. Labrador, I like, what does that mean? You know, some of them give you kind of more prompts to learn more about certain things, which I like. It's just really good. It's versatile. It's good for doing one card pulls. I love it, and it's great for covering all topics from romance to finance, like in career to spirituality. It's got it all really, so there's nothing bad I can really say about it. And yeah, and that's why it's in my top 10. I would suggest you guys maybe looking into it or getting hold of it if you can also. There's just a lot. There's a lot of cards that actually put you in the kind of scene a bit as well, like you feel like you're walking into the card and the image, and I like that. You know, I like how some of them are different, like when we have cards like guilt, remorse, regret. Look how this has taken up the whole of the card, because that is how overwhelming that feeling can be. I love that. Even the use of numbers can help you if you're someone that is, you know, keen on learning numerology and understanding the meaning from that aspect. There's just a lot. No, there's a lot here. So yeah, that is the Atlas Oracle, and I shall make sure I put all the links down below. But yeah, that's that. So next up we have another absolute, you know, favourite of mine, and that is the Iris Oracle. What can I say? This is it's a hard deck to get your hands on, especially in the UK where I'm from. So this was another one I just had to have, and therefore I got it shipped from the from the US for those reasons. What can I say about this deck? I love the artwork. I don't even know if I want to use the word crude, but it's just, you know, like childlike in a way, and I think that's what makes this deck quite a good one to do, like in a child work with, for example. It's got such a mix of light and dark, you know, it's these weird cards that you really test your intuition, but also the book has some really interesting meanings if you can like get to learn them. But I do think there's enough to go on with your intuition. It's just like it's a journey, this deck, and I love that about it. I love the black, and then this kind of coloured pencil childlike drawings, everything you need to soon. Look at that, all the love coming down from the cloud, and this figure just doesn't, you know, can't accept it yet. You know, I like the keywords, you know, the use of numbers. It's quite simple. There's also a lot to draw on. It's a bit wacky, a bit quirky too, which is something that I like. And it's a very honest deck. I feel like I've always, whenever I pull cards from this, even if it's just like a quick one card draw to be like, oh, what can I quickly do about this situation? What am I missing? It's always so accurate. You know, it really does fit some sort of sentiments that I feel like a lot of us go through. Like, you can't find goodness because you lost your heart. Like, look at that. You know, all the tears creating, you know, this sort of sea, and the heart is just left there. And this figure is, you know, just a ghost of who they were. It's such a like kind of childlike drawing, yet it's quite deep, quite powerful. You know, I like that these cards make you think. You know, they're not like the most, you know, sometimes you'll find a card and you'll look up the meaning in the little white book of this and you'll be like, oh wow, I didn't really think of it like that, but that's a really cool message. I like that. I like that it makes you think. You know, and I like how it looks aesthetically as well, I have to say. It pairs up really well with like certain tarot decks also. Can definitely help. Can use it in lots of different kind of readings. Unfortunately, I wouldn't say the cardstock is the best. That's the back. As you can see, you've got quite a lot of
I've shuffled it. It's got a little bit battered, but you know, it's a big deck. You know, it's like, how many cards are in? It's like 70 odd cards, almost like a tarot deck in size. The One Who Hides the Sun. Very good for child work, 100 inner child work, shadow work even. So yeah, definitely, if this has been on your list, I would consider making sure that you get it if you can, because it's so different. I don't think I have seen another oracle deck like this, and I feel like it's actually been really helpful for me. So yeah, that's the Iris deck. So next up is another indie deck you can find on Etsy, and that is the Black Water Tarot by Noah Rogers. What can I say about this one? I feel like it just, first and foremost, look at the box. They each come with this handmade wooden box that's just beautiful. It's amazing, you know. It really speaks to my untapped kind of artisan self. And obviously it's a tarot deck that is quite based on the Rider-Waite-Smith, I want to say. I'll just move this to one side so we can have a look. These are the backs. I really like that, like a black water, like ripple effect. If they are literally just made out of like normal cards, I would say, so I'm a little bit worried about these edges getting really kind of what's the word, battered as I use it. But you know, what can I say about this? I really wanted a black and white deck, kind of a creepier, I say creepier deck, a darker deck, kind of help with some shadow work, etc. And I just saw this and I just thought it was just such a beautiful creation. And some of the cards in this, particularly some of the majors, I just find really quite riveting. Like this, the Devil card, for example. Look at this creature with these sort of puppet strings around the figures, like controlling them. Really kind of gets that devil energy and the attachments, and you know, that puppeteer energy like comes across really strong. The Hanged Man, almost sort of like a Jesus-like figure being put on a sort of crucifix there, you know, that sort of the element of sacrifice that comes with the Hanged Man. You know, it's very visceral, this deck. You know, there's a lot of kind of crude kind of drawings, you know, all these ink splashes, you know, kind of muddied kind of drawings, kind of a bit violent, some of them, you know, but at the same time, you know, we need that sometimes. We need a harder hitting deck. And you know, the calmer cards in this are just very calm, and they really denote that. We've got Temperance here with the water, the Three of Wands, very like kind of same as the Rider-Waite. I like how all the aces kind of have the hands, like almost the offering. All of them have hands with like the different symbols on. So obviously the cup in this one. There's a lot of nudity in this deck. I feel like I should say that also. Ten of Cups, Justice, your lawman. I just feel it really takes you into some sort of warped sort of fairy tale world, and I kind of like that. If you like kind of creepy stuff like that, I feel this might be up your alley. The Lovers, beautiful, you know, inclusive. We have sort of LGBTQ represented within this deck. Although I believe it's a male creator, there's a lot of like female empowerment within this, like, which you know, I'm here for 100%. Look at the Empress. Like, I feel like the female characters in this deck are treated like quite beautifully, and not even just in terms of, you know, sort of those kind of stereotypical feminine traits. There's a Strength card, here we go, just I was about to speak about it, with a female figure almost fighting this sort of lion-shaped beast, you know, to denote that sort of inner female strength within the little white book within this. Is really great. I really love like the artist's kind of interpretations. You know, some of them are a bit more than the dark and macabre side of what these kind of cards represent, and like I said, we need that dark aspect, but there's so much to gain from that. You know, I look at this card and I see like multiple different interpretations of the same card. What figure is denoting the strength in this? Is it the one with the physical? Is it the one with the heart? Is someone being vulnerable? Like, what is this beast's story? Maybe he's the innocent one. You know, there's just so much to kind of glean from these images. The moon with all these sort of like wolves like staring at you, like there's just a lot, you know, the sort of confronting aspects of the moon. I like that about this deck. The star, so whimsical though, so beautiful, like the healing aspects there, the pondering, you know, the hope, looking at that hope that's still there after that Tower moment. So yeah, it's definitely, I look forward to using it more, like for some shadow work and, you know, seeing how we go. But I really do like it so far. It is creepy as hell, crude and visceral as hell. But I like that about it, you know. I really do like that. Death, one of my favourite death cards this is, you know, this sort of skeleton figure being revealed like under this sort of cape, like that kind of aspect of transformation that comes with death. Like, you know, these things that, you know, you need to transform, take off these masks, take off this cloak and reveal yourself, you know, start again. I love that. You know, it doesn't shy away from the sort of darker aspects of what the cards mean. So I like that about it. We need that in some of our decks, don't we? So yeah, that is the Black Water Tarot. Next up, we have the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards by Carl Gray and artwork by Lily Moses. I had to include this deck because it's actually the first deck I ever received. Like, my mother gave me this deck, and this is sort of like the first deck I ever did readings with, you know, before I even got a tarot deck. And I just love it. I think the artwork is stunning. Like, these figures almost, they just seem so real. Like, they're looking at you and looking into your soul. Like, this elder, he's beautiful. I love the diversity. I love the meanings. I think the book that comes with this is so great. Like, I think it gives such in-depth sort of, you know, meanings of the cards. I like the spreads that it has, especially like the past life spread. Like, this is a really great deck for doing that. I feel like it doesn't get the flowers that it deserves, honestly, but maybe because it's a mass market, I don't know. It's so versatile. You've got animals in this, figures in this, you know, shaman, trader, so many archetypes, you know, angels show up in this a bit, cards that we're kind of familiar with, like within the tarot, like the Empress and things of that nature, you know, elemental cards, like spring season cards, moon. There's so much. It's so versatile and it's just lovely. I think the cardstock is great. I love the backs. It's a matte cardstock, which I love. The figures, just like I said, it just looks like you're sat there with them and they're looking at you. It's just such a warm deck, but it's hard hitting as well. It gives great messages, you know. Definitely when you're doing some self-exploration also, like I said, if you're doing past life exploration, you know, looking at what kind of, you know, energy should I embody today and what's going to help me get through this, you know, or you're looking at what kind of people do I need to be surrounded by kind of thing. It's just great. There's not much more I can say about it other than that. It's worthwhile and I genuinely think everyone needs a copy of this in their collection. And, you know, it's so affordable that, you know, why not? Shield mating. So many different cultures expressed in here also. And I really love that. That's why it is so versatile and universal. And I think a lot of people could get a lot from this deck. So, yeah. That is the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards. There she is. Well, I had to have an animal deck in this. So next up we have the World Unknown Animal Spirit deck by Kim Kranz. What can I say? Like, I was to and froing, like, what animal deck do I put in? Because, you know, the animals are definitely something that I like working with. Power animals, I think they're a good energy to start off with. If you're a newbie, I feel there's, like, you know, there's enough gentleness there and enough confrontation there to kind of really get your teeth stuck into a reading. And what can I say about this? I just think this from top to bottom is such a beautiful project that she took on. Put that to one side, especially when looking through the book and seeing, like, the story behind it, you know, the kind of how we all have these animal energies within us and what they kind of mean and what they can mean for our lives in terms of we harness them, etc., and what lessons can be learned from them.
And I love this deck. I love that it's split into the kind of elements, earth, air, water, fire, and then spirit, you know, and each of the kind of cards kind of lean towards what those sort of suits kind of embody. I love the artwork. Look at this panther. I love that you can kind of create your own meanings by what you know about these animals yourself, and she encourages you to do kind of research on that. But, you know, I love how the spirit cards here, for example, dragon, you know, they're kind of put in alignment with the chakras, and that's something I'm very interested in. You know, it can be used for so much. I use this like daily, like as a kind of draw, like what energy do I need to embody today to kind of help me with this thing I need to get done, or even weekly, like what is the energy of this week, like what would be the best kind of energy for me to kind of be in right now, you know, what are things I need to confront in my personality, like with the mouse kind of traits. There's just so much to kind of delve into with this deck, which I feel make it just such a wonderful companion to lots of different kind of tarot decks and different reads that you can do. It's great for looking at personality traits, past life traits, you know, your own traits, using it more as like an archetype based deck. It's so versatile, and I really feel like, I don't think I see any. Obviously I see this deck a lot on Tarotube, but I don't think I saw it mentioned in anyone's top 10. So yeah, I guess it is quite hard to narrow down animal decks there, right? And I don't have as many, so it may change. But yeah, I just like it. I love the book. I almost wanted her to write more, but she was leaving it open interpretation for us to bring our own meanings, which is great. Look at the dolphin, fish. It's just a beautiful deck. Beautiful and versatile deck. And if you haven't got your hands on it already, I'm sure the majority of you probably already have this. I would definitely give it its flowers for sure. What playfulness. So yeah, that is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck by Kim Kranz. Next up, I thought I have to include a Lenormand deck because I am in the process of learning Lenormand, and I think it's such a wonderful reading system. And I came across this one. This is called the Magpie Lenormand. I feel like it may have been a Kickstarter, but I feel like I bought it as a pre-order because I saw it on Etsy, and it's because I fell in love with the artwork first and foremost. I have to be honest, this was one that I was sold to purely aesthetically first. It's such a beautiful deck. The artwork is phenomenal. You could just have a look at the sides, it's gilded in blue, the backs are beautiful with the magpie and the moon there. And I just felt like, okay, if I'm going to learn Lenormand, I got to have a deck that just really speaks to me. And I felt like this one was it. You know, magpies, I feel, are a bit of a totem animal for me anyway. God, there's so many where I live. They always show up at certain times, like when I'm asking for kind of messages, etc. So I like that I have that connection to it. But also I like that it has this sort of, this nature element, which is something I'm very attached to, which I feel will help me to learn the Lenormand, you know, and not to mention that they're nice to look at. So, you know, I feel like there's a story behind these cards. Like we have the ship, which is, you know, about kind of, I've mentioned as well that they are like, they do have the French names, and there's like French kind of description within the book also, because I believe this may be a French creator that made this deck. But yeah, the ship here is this little tiny leaf, you know, and we get that sort of feeling of like a journey and movement here. You know, the leaf has fallen from the tree, that kind of stable kind of beginning, you know, that stable foundation it came from. The tree has decided to go on its own way, it's fallen into this stream and lake, and who knows where that's going to take it. You know, I love that about it. The mice, you know, the heart with like sort of these Bambi like that signifying the love. There's just so much beautiful kind of imagery within this. You know, there are some cards that I feel have been changed. I want to say the child, the man and the woman, like from the traditional Norman. And there isn't a stork card in this, but there is, here he is, the albatross. But I still need to dive a bit deeper on what the meanings are. The book that comes with this, you know, it's not the best. It's not got the most in-depth kind of explanation of the cards, but it's enough, you know, it's a basic.
the anchor there, you know, that kind of feeling of, you know, it's good, unmoving, that can be good, but sometimes we need to move and that can be not great for us. You know, the fish. It's just, I love the artwork, the sort of blues and greys and purples, the moonlight in the reflection there. It's just, you know, I just felt like it would be such a lovely deck to learn from. It's actually my only Lenormand so far. So here we have like the moth, the chrysalid, and the caterpillar. I feel like this is meant to be the child. So, and I love that. Like, and I also love, I feel like when you lay these cards out, they create, what's the word? Like a joint picture, if you can see. That sort of symbolize that growth, you know, as far as I'm aware so far through my learnings of the Lenormand, you know, a lot of it is about like the position of the cards and how the cards relate to one another. I like that. That sort of storytelling element. I think that's so beautiful. Oh, I love it. We have the tree, you know, the clouds, the crossroad. I love this card. Look at that ant, you know, like try and decide what path to go down next, you know. The scythe, this owl that's about to just dive down and potentially kill something so dangerous for a mouse, you know. I love that. It really does kind of get the meanings down in a cool way. The birds, like all this chitter chat here, are they gossiping? Are they making sure that they're warning each other about something? You know, who knows what the birds are talking about? The dog, the stars. It's just such a beautiful deck. And I haven't really seen it at all on like Tarotube, so it might be worth checking out if you can still get your hands on this. So yeah, that's my little Lenormand deck that I felt I needed to include so I could have it to learn with, and that is the Magpie Lenormand. And last but not least, we have a little kind of deck that, you know what, like it's cheap, it's cheerful. I've put it in this little bag along with the sort of chakra stones that I have, because it's just something, you know, I'm really learning at the moment that on my healing journey I feel has been something that's spoken to me a lot, and that is the work of like working with chakras, learning about their sort of connections to different emotional and physical kind of health ailments, etc. For someone like myself who's navigating sort of chronic illness and pain, and has been for the last few years, you know, this is a kind of practice, you know, looking into chakras, looking into Reiki, etc. is something that just really resonates with me. And so I need a deck that just kind of embodies that, and just it's like a little affirmation deck. Chakra wisdom cards, you know, it's thin, it's flimsy, but it's just so poignant for me when I pull a card of this. You know, it's split into each chakra. Okay, that's the sort of card that sort of just tells you the overall about what each chakra does and what it's linked to, etc., and how to use the deck. But literally, you know, we just have it split here, and we have the passage for each card, you know, and what to like look into that time. Like under these things, the solar plexus, personal power, the heading, I choose to be myself and to express my truth. I have a positive influence on the people and the situations around me. I allow my integrity and confidence to shine, which instills more confidence and belief in myself, and then encourages others to have natural confidence in me. I do not allow my personal power to become egotistical, manipulative, or exploitative. You know, it's things like this. These are the passages. They're just like affirmation cards, and I feel like they're just so helpful, especially when I'm really struggling with something, or if I want to work with a certain chakra, I can just pick out, you know, the different ones all together, like the third eye chakra, get all of those cards, shuffle them and see what comes out. You know, it's just such a great little deck. It actually comes in a box set with like a little kind of like a small guidebook and a big kind of poster to do with all the chakras, which is great. The little guidebook is really great, really cheap and cheerful, but so like poignant. I feel we all need like a kind of affirmation deck, right? And it's good to have one that resonates with a practice that that really seems to be helpful to me in particular. So yeah, if you could get your hands on this, I would definitely recommend it. So yeah, that's the chakra wisdom cards. Like I said, they're flimsy cards, etc. They're kind of cheap and cheerful, but
the sentiment behind them, you know, I just find really, really, really helpful. And perhaps you would too. So yeah, that is that. That is the Chakra Wisdom Oracle. Nope, the Chakra Wisdom cards. So there we have it, guys. They're my 10 decks I can't do without. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely had fun filming it. And I just want to say thanks again to Katey Flowers for creating this tag so we could have it, you know, in the Tarotube world. Yeah, I'm really interested if you guys want to list what your top 10 are. I'd love to hear in the comments below, or if you guys have any suggestions for decks to use for shadow work or inner child work, or decks with lots of rich story elements like the Lord of the Rings one I spoke about. I'll be so happy to hear any suggestions and advice, you know. And yeah, thanks for having me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.